Okay, before you even open Premiere Pro, you really want to have all of your video and your music in one folder. It's possible to just import the video and the music into Premiere Pro directly, but what happens, I find, is that it can get really disorganized, and one of the biggest problems is that people misplace their media and then they can't find it, and it's just a mess. Here I made a folder. I just called it Blend Ed Demo Project. And I took my song and all these video clips and put them in. So what I want you to do is start a folder, new folder, give it a title that you can recognize, and then just find your videos and just drag them all in there. I'll give you like a minute or two to do that. So the next thing you're going to do is open Premiere. So I just usually search for Premiere by going here. Hopefully you have 2024. AI is like everywhere, and Premiere Pro, the 24, has some really cool AI features, which I'll be talking a little bit about. So you're going to pick a new project. So you're just going to click on New Project, and then you're going to title it at the top left corner with whatever you want. I'm just calling mine Demo Project 4. And then in the center of this, you might see the desktop, and then you're going to find that folder. But you can use the search box and just click on it. Once you click on the folder, it's going to import everything in that folder. And then you're going to press create. So just review, title it, click on the folder with all the stuff in it, create, and then it's going to send you to this window. This is the main area. Why don't you do that now? Okay. Let me just give you a quick intro about what this is that you're looking at. Basically, all of your media got plunked into the media area. It has many different parts to it, but essentially, this is where all your video and music goes. And everything here has these little blue movie symbols, or if it's music, it looks like this green thing. The one thing that is not a video or a music thing is the sequence, and it has this like blue, I don't know what to describe this, but it says sequence, and that is your actual movie is the sequence. And so if you ever want to look at one of the clips without putting it in your movie, you just click on it and then it will appear in the top left box, and that's just the monitor for the media. And depending on how people work, sometimes you can actually select what they call it in point and out point. We won't do that right now, but it's just another way of editing. And then over here, Premiere Pro, for some reason, just throws all your media onto the sequence. So you can actually just select it and delete it because we're going to start from scratch. But basically, anything that's in here is going to be in your movie. And so the first thing you want to do is take, I'm just going to show you what it looks like when there's media on there. So if I put this video clip on here, you can see it's playing up here in the browser. It's hard to see because and then if I press spacebar or press play here, you can see this creepy girl staring at you. Okay, that's essentially the basics. Everything else, just ignore. Like, I think Premiere is designed by like professional editors, and so they're not like Apple where everything's like really self-explanatory. But the main thing is just media over here on the left, film here on the right. These are the monitors. The one last thing I want to point out is this button up here called Workspaces. And basically, Premiere gives you different looks depending on what you want to do. So, for example, we're in editing right now. This is like the look for editing. Sometimes you want to go like to assembly, and assembly like expands the media so you can see it more clearly and you have an easier time assembling your film. If you want to work on effects where you like want to add transitions, which you can do without going here, but special effects, then all your effects appear here, and then you can work on the effects. And then another one, let's see, closed captioning. If you want titles, this is where titles and captions come from, and then it's all set there. But typically, you're going to be in the editing mode. So I'm going to delete this. Any questions about the layout or just how this works? Yeah, go ahead, Satya.
So when we're dragging in like a video clip, which row, because so in the main like timeline kind of box, there's like
Right,
several different rows.
right.
Which row should we be dragging it into? And should they all be in the same one or should they all have like their each row, their
Great
own row?
question. I'm gonna skip to your question because I'm just gonna answer right now. So when you take a video clip, you can put it on any row, but typically it's like a cake. You're gonna start with a foundation and start with V1. So V1 is typically where you're going to be putting your video. And then audio, these are A1, A2 are all audio. So like these artless clips typically don't have any audio associated with them, but they do. But if you want to put music down, it goes into A1. So one thing you should know is that if you put something on top of a video, let's take this clip and I drag it onto the timeline. Um, it works by anything that's on top of each other is what. So let me just shrink this window down. So you see the creepy girl, and then I just randomly pick these clips. I don't know what's going on. Okay, very odd. So you can see how it like went to the top. So that's why they're layers, because sometimes you're putting things on top of each other, sometimes you're meshing them together and trying to combine clips. So did that answer your question?
Yeah, thanks.
Cool. Oh, and the other thing is with audio clips, when you layer them on top of each other, they all play together. So it's not like one supersedes the other. It's just if you play like a hip hop song and a classical song on top of each other, they're just going to simultaneously play. Okay. Any questions before we move on? All right. And the great thing about Premiere is that you have almost unlimited channels. And iMovie, I think you have two. And so you have a lot more flexibility here. All right, so what I really recommend for you all is to start with your song. And the reason that is because I think your song, especially for montage, sets up the structure of how the movie will go. So I just picked a song today, and if you just take the song, whatever your song is, and drop it onto A1, and then you press uh, play or space bar, you can hear the song. You see the waveforms and you see the levels there. Yeah. One thing you should know is if the levels get into the red, you're in trouble because it's just going to blow out people's eardrums. One other thing before I let you do this, if you want to look more carefully at a track, you can adjust your viewpoint of the track. So like these see these little circles here. If I drag them towards each other, it expands the view. So what's cool here is that you can see the song and the waveforms, meaning this is where things are soft. So you can watch right here, soft, you can see the waveforms kind of below. And then the minute it gets up there, it's going to start kicking in. And right, there's a beat. So what's really great about starting with the song is that you can find those moments where the needle drops. Like you ever watch like a movie and all of a sudden he gets in the car and the music hits right at that right moment and it just feels amazing. And so knowing your music and building around your music allows you to do those kind of things. Typically, movies have composers, but we don't have the money for composers. So we do the reverse engineering by using music and then putting images on top of them. So why don't you go ahead, take your song or music and put it on A1. It shouldn't take long. And then we're going to show you how to edit the music. And once you have the music track, why don't you play around with the little circles and just expand your view. One thing I didn't show you was the other way you can do that. These circles at the bottom will get out of the way, will either shrink, make it larger so we can see it more detail, or you can pull it the other way and get a more macro view or a big, larger view. Okay. Everybody got their music on their audio track? It's okay to go? All right, so let's do this. So this is going to be a little bit tricky, but just follow along. I think anything for your first film, I want it to be fairly simple. If you want to make a film that's longer than a minute, because you've done this before, I'm okay with that. But I think especially when you're just starting out, I want to keep things reasonable. So we're gonna change this music track you have into a 1 minute song. Currently, the one I have is 5 minutes. 5 minute montage is really long, and usually because it's every 3 or 4 seconds, you're often changing images, and you divide that by 5 minutes, it's a long time. It's a lot of footage. So you're going to go up here to the workspace icon, and then you're going to click Essentials. And then this window will pop up. Make sure that your music track is selected, and then you should be on Essential Sound. There's Essential Graphics, Essential Sound. Usually I think Essential Sound pops up, and then you're going to go down here, and you're going to click Duration. And if you notice that it says clip analysis, basically this is an AI function where it's analyzing the music. And then you're going to make sure that remix is clicked. And then you're going to click on this blue number. This is called target duration. And basically it is 1 minute, which the way they like you to write it out is like 1:00:00. And the reason why it's that is because it's also milliseconds. So this is 1 minute, and this is like seconds, and this is like milliseconds. So what happened here is if you look on the left-hand side, this is now, if I drag it here, you can see it is, oh, it's a little over a minute long, but it's not 5 minutes, and it re-edited itself. And if you look at the little zigzag lines, that's the AI has decided these are the areas it's going to cut so that the song sounds right. And then if we play it, you sometimes it does a kind of mediocre job. You can hear the cut, but if it's really on its game, it's amazing. Like you can't even tell. So let's see how good it did. It was like, I would say a B minus. Like it was like you can hear the shifts going on, but if you're not really paying attention to it, I think it's pretty good. So everybody take your song and make it into a minute long. Any questions?
Can you go over what to do after we check the duration box? I got behind at that point, sorry.
Absolutely. So, you're gonna bring your song down here, make sure it's selected, and then essential sound, duration check, and then this blue number, this is current length, but we're gonna click on the number and we're gonna type in 1:00:00, and then press return, and then it's gonna remix it to 1 minute. Other thing,
Thanks.
tip is cool. You can also take your cursor and put it on top of the number and then hold it down, and then with the other finger slide it, and it will, you can just find the length that you might like it, and then here just change it to 1:32. Actually, you can just take your finger and just slide it up and down on your mouse pad. You know?
Yeah, sorry. When I click edit on the essential sound, it doesn't have the like it doesn't say anything about
I had
duration.
that too. You have to select music. There should be a box where you click it, and then there's a little drop-down menu, and one of the options is music, and then you click default. Do you see that?
Oh yeah. Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Well, thanks, Satya. Yeah, I guess for some people, the music, the uh, option doesn't come up as the first thing. Yeah, in the old days, we would have to take the music clip and cut it and try to like Frankenstein it by putting it together, and it's a lot harder. You can do it manually, but it's not easy. Okay. Okay, so let's get out of essentials because we're no longer need to edit the music, and we're going to go to editing. And so I like to take the media box and make it larger. And the way I do that is I bring the cursor to the edge of the media box, and it becomes this like double line with arrows. And I hold my finger down and then I push it up. And then here I can see things a lot better. So I can just be like, okay, what do I want? So the first thing I'm going to do is look at my film look at the film music. And when you've got the white waveforms, you can be like, okay, it starts off pretty quiet, and then it has this build, and if you listen to it, creepy, and then there's this like moment here, and then pick the music first, and I pick the footage based on that in 5 minutes. I think the first thing that comes to my mind is like the road moving really quickly as we go into like sunset. I'm gonna take this track, you're gonna pick it up, and you're gonna drop it on V1. I think we're going to start with black first. And then I'm going to just watch it and see. I'm going to make this a little bit bigger. And then I like that. And then I'm going to pick another track, another video, and I'm going to put it here. And then I'm just going to watch it again. And I got length, so I'm going to keep it that length. And then I think, okay, that's enough of this clip. I want to shorten it. So the way you shorten clips in Premiere, there's the easy way, which is just take your cursor, put it on the end of the clip, and just drag it. Then there's the not pretty easy way too, a little bit more steps. You're going to change your cursor into a razor. So you click the razor here in the toolbox there, and you're going to cut where you want to cut. And then you have to change your cursor back into an arrow. And then you're just going to select the section you don't want and delete it. And those are two ways to cut. So yeah, that's making a film essentially. It's just taking the clips, putting in the order you want, sizing it so that it's paced right, and using either the blade tool or using this ends and shrinking or increasing size. One thing you should know that's different than iMovie and Final Cut Pro is that Premiere, by default, if you take a clip, let's just take this clip, and you put it here, it's going to delete what it's on top of. So I drop it, and then I pick it up, and oop, everything that it was on top of is gone. If you're in iMovie or in Final Cut Pro and you drop it here, it would automatically push things out of the way, what they call ripple edit, ripple meaning water rippling out. It pushes everything out. Premiere doesn't do that. You can make it do it, but you have to add command. You can always do Command Z, which will fix it. I'm going to look up which one I'm supposed to do. I forgot. So why don't you do this? Just start working. Just start putting clips on your music, sizing them, using either the blade or moving things around. And just do that for 5 minutes just to get a feel for the interface. And then I'm going to show you a few more things.
How do you lower the like the volume of the audio?
Good question. Can everyone pause? Because everybody's going to need to learn how to do this. And this is super helpful. So look at the screen. The easiest way to lower your volume, first you have to have your cursor as an arrow. If you look at the music track, there's a straight line across it, this white line, and you can just put your arrow on top of it and then drag it down. If you listen here, well, I'll play a louder section. And if you bring the line up, so that's how you adjust it in a complete way. I'm going to show you a slightly intermediate skill, but I think it's super helpful. And if you miss it, you can always just ask me later. Sometimes when you're editing music or any kind of sound, you don't want to you want to keep it the same level here, but then maybe change the level somewhere else. So let's say, for example, I wanted to keep this level here, and then I wanted to dip the music down here. How would I do that? The way you do that is you press Command on your keyboard and then click on the white line, and that creates what we call a, oh my God, my brain's not working. It'll come to me. Anyway, it's a point in which the value, you can change the value. So these 2 points I just put on the line by doing Command click, and then I lower one of the points and it can do a like fade down. So if you listen to this, Oops. It's hard to tell because it's pretty quiet, but if we did it a little more extreme, you could probably hear it. Or if you want to get louder, you can do that. So these are really useful because now you can like edit your songs and create different moments and volume changes. Any questions on that? Cool. So in a minute, I'm gonna introduce keyframe. Thank you. So keyframing is what editors use in lots of different contexts, but it's basically a moment where there's a value in your film for either the audio or the video. Okay, let me show you something simple but really effective in its speed. These clips I'm showing you now are actually already sped up, but let's say you want to slow it down. How do you do that? You are going to select the clip and you're going to do two-finger click and it gives you this menu. This menu's got a lot of different things on here, but we're just going to focus on speed duration. So you're going to click on speed duration and it gives you 100%. And so you're gonna, let's go 50%. So that's gonna be 50% slower. And I'm just gonna click OK. So as you can tell, the clip went and doubled its size because it's going slower. So here we watch it, and now it's a whole different thing. Actually, I like that. And then you can go faster too. So we're gonna go speed duration. And let's make it 200%, twice as fast. Click OK. You can see it shrank because it's going faster. And whoa, that's pretty fast. One thing you should know is that when you change the speed, the clip size changes. If it's going faster, then it shrinks, it gets slower, it gets bigger. So one good thing to know is if you're changing speed, especially if it's going to go slower, I like to click Ripple Edit. The ripple edit will make sure that if it expands, everything expands with it, and then you don't have to worry about deleting it. So go ahead and change the speed of one of your clips, make it slower, make it faster, experiment with ripple edit.
I have a question.
Yeah.
So I think one of the clips that I downloaded has one of the footage clips that I downloaded also has audio on top of it, which means that it's not letting me drag it into the video area. Is there a way I can remove the audio from it?
Yeah, let me show you how to do that. Okay, let me go to a project where I have clips with audio on the video. Okay, I just do it here. Okay, this clip here has audio and video. Okay. So what you want to do is separate your audio from your video first. So select the clip, then do two-finger click so you get this menu, and then you're going to select unlink. So now the video and the audio are separate, and then you can just, if you want to get rid of the audio, select it and then delete it, and that should be separate. Okay, if you can take a pause, I'm going to talk about transitions and effects. So here we have our film and transitions. So why do we use transitions? They're basically ways of communicating usually story elements. The most common transition is a crossfade. So we're going to go to effects. Effects is where everything lives that will impact the video or audio from transitions to effects. So here we have, basically you need to know is the audio effects, audio transitions, video effects, video transitions. So you're going to click the little arrow and the video transitions expand, and dissolve is where the crossfade is. You can also just type crossfade and crossfade will appear here. Oh, cross dissolve. Oh, cross dissolve. I was saying crossfade. Okay. So this is what a crossfade looks like when you put it onto two clips. So we have this clip here and we want to do a cross dissolve. You're going to drop it on between the two clips and then it will go look like this. And that looks cool. If you want to adjust it, there are a couple of things you can do. One is you can select cross dissolve, and this menu will pop up, and you can change the duration. You can change the alignment. Like right now, it's on the right-hand side. So I want to make it in the center so that it's like dissolving into the next thing. But you can change it however you want to. You can also pull it and make it longer on one side, make it longer on the other side, so you can adjust the cross dissolve there. There are other transitions. I find that like when students start making films and they get introduced to transitions and they start throwing like every transition in there, which is cool because you can experiment with it, but usually most transitions are pretty extreme. Let's try Iris Box. I'm not even sure what that is, but we put it here. Oh yeah, maybe you like that. It's really what kind of aesthetic you're trying to do and what kind of story elements you want, but you can play around with the different transitions here. There's a ton in here, but I really think cross dissolve is the one that is like your first go-to. It can create a dreamlike atmosphere. It can feel a passage of time. So why don't you just play around with transitions and put them onto clips and see how that changes your film. And I'm here to help. Yeah, question?
I was just wondering, the film I chose is like square. I don't know, it's not a full like rectangle, but then in Premiere Pro, it's fitting it so that I can't see the whole thing.
Really good point. Okay. This is something that happens. So actually, if everybody can pay attention to this, because it'll happen to you at some point in your editing career, sometimes the image will be the wrong size. Like it'll be too big or too small. When you select a clip like this one, this menu should be up, Effect Controls. Effect Controls controls every property of that clip. And in terms of the size of the clip, the two most important things, and the position of the script is position and scale. So I think you're dealing with a scale issue. So what I do is take the cursor and put it on top of the blue line, and then you can make the clip bigger, or you can make it smaller, but you can make sure that it fits the right thing. And then if that doesn't quite work, maybe it's positioned weird. The position, this controls left and right, and this controls up and down. So that should fix it. What often happens is that people have a video clip that's shot in one kind of camera mode or one kind of format, and then it's like in a sequence that's set for a different kind of format. And so the clips look really small or really big, and you have to adjust that way. Yeah, Matisse, question.
Similarly, I was wondering what dimensions we should be.
I don't, whatever works for you guys. Like it's just an aesthetic choice or like what typically when we're making the films, the dimensions are just whatever's the preset. But if you're really into like the film that I just made or I'm in post-production right now, we had to choose between the full screen and the can't can't speak tonight, but it's the widescreen format. So yeah, but at this stage, it doesn't really matter. If it matters to you, then just go whatever format you want to go.